awards that we're going to be giving out tonight is 4 players who recently travelled with us in September to the UK. They went across, they done some training and some trials. 2 of those players had actually been with Euro Football Star before, and they've been involved with me in regards to private coaching and also being involved with their day-to-day football where they are at club and just helping them. We're very excited to announce that 4 of these players have actually been given scholarships to go and play in the UK. They're going to be training and playing with the Steven Gerrard Academy, and they're going to be actually playing under the English Youth Premier League under the guise of Stoke City. How that partnership works is in the UK, private academies are actually very welcomed by the clubs in the UK, and it allows players from private academies to play under the professional clubs and under their banner. I think we're starting to move towards that way in Australia. Some of you will be aware we've got something called the Premier Academy League, which has recently just started up, and there's a lot of good, real good private academies out there, and I think they're starting to make headway into getting involved with clubs. And that was one of our visions, was to try and maybe affect the bigger numbers rather than just the smaller numbers, why we took our objective testing. So we've got some awards for our players who are going to be over in January in the UK. And for any of the players who are going on the trip and tour with us next year, if you want to go and reach out to one of the two of the players and have a chat with them, maybe get their autographs as well, because I'm pretty sure 1 or 2 of them are already famous. Mr. Reedy, we won't mention any names. You might have seen Jack Reedy was in our trip on the Champions League final to Paris in May, and so he's very famous at the moment. So our first award we're going to give out is to Jack Reedy. Can we give him a big round of applause and congratulations? I used to work at Leicester City back in the Premier League, and that Youth Academy Premier League is the best place for players to be, so these guys are going to really excel. Our next award goes out to Mr. Kai Henning. Can we give a round of applause for Kai? This is a really nice one. This is a player that we had with us on the tour in 2019. Just seeing him progress and develop, and I don't think he'll mind saying that. When we first got this player, he was probably a little bit more in and around that sort of community-based level football. This boy has gone on from playing like FQ development, SAP, MPL, and I haven't seen him in the past couple of months and seeing him again. I'm very excited for this player. This is Phoenix. Patrick, give Phoenix a big round of applause. Alright, the next one is a player that I've been working with probably on and off for about 2 years now. We come out and done the testing. He's done amazing in the testing. He's another really, really young player, but he's got really big plans ahead, I think, in the game and his football. It's just one thing we've got to change, the team that he supports. He supports Chelsea, but we'll try and fix that for him. But can we give Oliver Dingwall a big round of applause? And the last one, we had 1 place left on our sponsored players, and we were looking at it, and we had a few different players brought out to us, boys and girls, and we were looking across, and we had a female player brought to our attention a couple of months ago. And it's just really strange and weird the way it worked out. But I was laying in bed one night and seen a Facebook post about a mum and dad trying to raise funds because their daughter had actually been chosen to go to Europe, and it was costing around $8,000–9,000 to go on the trip. And the girl that I noticed was actually the girl who'd been brought to my attention a few months before, and then I discovered as well that through my wife Angela and her friend Claire, she was friends with her mum, and yeah, we reached out and spoke to them, and yeah, we straight away made them an offer, because this is another one. I'm very excited for all the sponsor players and all the winners, but this is another special player who I think is going to have a big future in the game. We've recently just been across to the UK, and while we were over there, especially talking about the women's game, I took Mel Reedy. Give us a wave, Mel. We went over to the UK, and Mel actually come to Liverpool with me, and she went and had a look at the under-14s, was it, Mel? Yeah, and just to see the quality and the level of the game over there, how much it's come on, but also comparing it to see where some of our female players can fit in the game over there is exciting. So can we have a big round of applause for Charlie Ashby? Okay, so we're going to get on to our winners now. So these are our 7 winners who were chosen from our competition. So we done our objective testing because it was just coming out of COVID. We were a little bit unsure on where we could go, so we just originally planned to do some trials in Queensland. We went to places like Billawheeler, Gympie, in and around Brisbane, and then we managed to duck into northern New South Wales as well. The plans for next year is we're going to start going into Victoria, further into South New South Wales, and also we've already had a request to go across to WA, so the reach that we're going to have next year is going to be awesome. We're also just speaking to some of the families that we've got 11 players going with us next year. Our plan for 2024 is hopefully, fingers crossed, taking in the region of around 32 sponsored players and winners, which would be a big thing. One of the big things that's helping with that is having someone like Tali on board with the sponsorships, because she's knocking down doors for us everywhere to enable that to happen. And we're currently in some talks with a few other companies as well about coming on board as major sponsors, which is going to help us get those extra sponsored players on the lines. So our first winner, and this player is a female player. When I first seen her, the first thing I'd done was taking a video, watching her doing a juggling with the football and how she was beating all the boys up on the pitch, and I was just blown away by this particular player. I sent a video straight away with mum and dad's permission back to the UK to send it to a few of the clubs. I was that excited when I seen this player, and I think with all the players in the room are all going to be stars if you choose to be, but this player really shone out, and especially at age, and that was Charlotte Ainsworth. Can we give her a big clap? This particular player, I think, attended about 55 of our tests. He was practicing week in and week out, and I could constantly see his score getting better and better and better. He was one of the stations, for anyone who's been online, you can see all of our tests that we actually do with the players. There was one particular station he was really struggling with, and he actually nailed it on this last test. He came all the way down from Queensland to New South Wales just to do the objective testing, which takes 50 minutes to an hour. So it was a testament to him and his mum and dad for bringing him down. And I was so happy they did, because if he wouldn't have come on that last day, he wouldn't have won one of the winner's spots. So can we have a big round of applause for Gavin J. Singower. This is another interesting one. This was a really good one. This is another female player. This particular player turned up to Gympie. She wasn't part of Gympie Football Club, but she signed up to come and register. We're very lucky tonight to have Doug and Nate give us a wave. We come all the way from Gympie. They worked the socks off of the club, especially Nate, the vice president of the club, and he's been involved with the club for many years. They were very kind that they didn't just allow players from the club to come and do the testing, but they allowed external players to come in. So it's a testament to what the guys are doing up in Gympie. This player has played all over the southeast Queensland. As soon as I seen her in testing, again similar to Charlotte, I knew straight away we had a player. Without even testing and looking at the scores, I knew she was going to score really high. She actually finished inside the top 10 players overall inside the boys' scores as well. And from a girl's point of view here in Charlotte, yeah, they just blew it out of the water. So can we have a big round of applause for Abby Lutton? This is one of probably the most pleasing ones, because I've seen this boy come out for 3 or 4 years and do my tests and leave with tears, and he cried. He won't mind me saying that, because he mucked up stations, he didn't do it right. This player was doing private coaching with me for probably about 2 years on and off. He's an amazing player, phenomenal player, but we had to make sure, and it really killed me on some moments, I really wanted to put him in as one of the winners, but we had to stay true to the competition. And during those 2 years when he didn't quite make it, I knew he was good enough to make it. But one of the reasons why we do the testing, it's about putting players in pressurised situations, because that's what it's going to be like when you're a professional player. You've got to play in front of 60, 70,000 players, and you've got to do it in that moment, there and then. And that's the beauty of Euro Football Stars Objective Test. You've got to turn up on the day and do it and produce it. So unfortunately, he didn't get it over the line. And thank God this year he finally got it over the line. So can we have a big clap and a round of applause for Jack Randall? When we went up to Gympie Football Club, we were amazed at the quality of the players up there, not only the quality of the players, but the setup. If anyone's never been up there, or it's quite funny because you get told a lot of jokes about Gympie, and there's a famous comedian called Carl Barron, and he's always making jokes about Gympie, but I'll be honest, when I went up there, it's probably got the best football club I've been to in Queensland, and it's got the best Indian restaurant, doesn't it, Archie? It is phenomenal, this Indian restaurant. We were very lucky that we not only got Abby while we were up there, but we actually got 2 other winners that come out of the testing as well. And our first one that we got, and the first one that we're going to give our award out to, is Liam Rose. Give Liam a big round of applause. And our next player from Gympie, and this is a little bit of an awkward one because his dad is the vice president, and I know for a fact people were saying he's definitely give you some money. It did cross my mind when we seen him come out in the top with Liam, and we have to double check the scores and re-double check it, but again we have to stay true to the competition, and for his age as well, he's one of our exciting players that we've discovered, and there's big hopes for this boy as well as Mitchell Knight. Give him a big round of applause. This one's very similar to Gav, who come out and done a lot of tests. This particular player come out and tested a heap of times. We actually didn't think this particular player was going to make it in a winner's circle, but we already identified him as being one of our sponsored players. Because you can just see in a player, not only his test scores were really good, he was just very similar. He had, I think it's the Jack Randall syndrome, where you just don't get it quite right. And I could see 1 or 2 of the stations weren't there, but I knew he was going to get it. So we identified him potentially for a sponsored spot. But he come back, and on his last day, he come for his test, because I think he'd done 3 in total, wasn't it? On the last one, he just done that little improvement on that score, which just not only tipped him over, but actually gave him a really, really high score and put him inside the top 10 players for the whole competition. We have a big round of applause for Thomas Adams, all the way from the Sunny Coast. Our next award is our Euro Football Star 2023 overall winner. So, how we work this, we get the test scores from boys and girls. We actually then give the scores a handicap based on if they're male or female, and also the date of birth. And we actually were within 2 points of who the overall winner was. I won't tell you who the second person was because they might get really upset and angry with me. But our overall winner, okay, for Euro Football Star for 2023, and all the guys have got some special things to happen next September when we go. We've got one extra little special thing in line for this particular player when we go over in September next year. Our overall winner for Euro Football Star 2023 was Thomas Adams. Those guys who've done the objective testing, and some of the players who've been out with me over the past couple of years, a lot of you have come and done private coaching with me, and if you've been there on a Saturday morning or a Monday or a Tuesday afternoon, you'll see one of the other areas that I like to work in. We've got a small, like what we call a mini academy, or the academy as we call it, and it's aimed for players between 4 years of age and 8. We've got lots of boys and girls who come out over the years. They do camps with us, and they do the group coaching as well with us. We get a lot of good help and support from Jamie and Archie on that, which I'm very appreciative of, because it's hard when you've got 60 or 70, 4, 5 and 6 year olds on a holiday camp. We have got an award that's going to go out to one of our players who's part of our mini academy. This player, every time we run an event, we run a camp, we run a term programme, he's the first name on the list. He's always on there. And I know when that phone dings and it says Stripe and there's a payment, I know what name it's going to be. And it never fails. And he's been there, and I'll be honest with you, he was really, really young when he come with us, and he's still really young. But he's another one I'm pretty confident in the next few years he's going to be up here receiving one of these awards. Can we have a big round of applause to Max Braun? Well done, Maxie. We give Maxie one more round of applause. Thank you. So guys, a big thank you for coming along tonight. Our next award goes out to Donovan Oliver. Can we have a big round of applause for Donovan? last winner, unfortunately, Benji Zilic can't be with us tonight. Anyone who knows Benji, originally comes from Geelong down in Victoria. He moved up to the Gold Coast last year with his dad. His mum and dad literally split themselves up for 12 months so he could follow his football and his passion. He's actually on his last night at the Gold Coast with all his school friends and teammates down at the night. And he's heading back to Geelong to spend the last couple of months with his mum and dad. So he isn't here tonight, but to accept his award for him is going to be Jamie Laurenti and Archie. And we'll give them a round of applause. Jack Reedy's told me as well, the autographs are $20 each, is that right? Yeah. Okay guys, our next one is our sponsored player awards. So during the testing this year, we identified a few players who were really, really close in the testing or weren't involved in testing, but were made aware to us from some of our contacts around South East Queensland. So we reached out to these families, and some of you might have seen on the social media that we've done some interviews with these players. So our first award that's going to go to one of our sponsored players is Zach Olsen. He's actually just left the room because he's got a game at 7:30. So he's actually gone to football and he really wanted to stay. And I'm like, no, this is what it's all about. Football's more important than being here, because that's where he's going to get it. So we'll give a little round of applause for Zach. Our next one, and one of our sponsor players, and one of our youngest players we'll ever bring on to tour with us. He actually scored one of the highest scores for his age, but wasn't quite good enough to get him in that older bracket, which he was about 2 years away from. But he's definitely a little special talent, and he's someone, when I first seen him, reminded me of a certain player when I first seen him, and that was Jack Reedy, and this player was identical in his ways. But he's a little bit better looking than Jack Reedy. Can we have a round of applause for Finn Plants?